Welcome to BreakNBread Year in Review. I'm Terry Page. We are taking a highlighted perspective on some of the topics we discussed in 2023. We began the year with my favorite topic, money. Is inflation taking a bite out of your budget? Lucy Taylor of Kaiser Financial kicked off the year on advising how to get out of debt. Lucy mentioned many of us are working a 9-to-5 where more is going out than coming in. Always enjoy having her on the program, for she offers great advice on not only building a great financial return, but also on how to be your own boss.
Now, the first thing I say is when you come to that decision, get quiet with yourself. Because, again, you have everything you need inside of you. Get quiet with yourself and close your eyes and say to myself, what is it that I like to do? What is it that brings me passion? What is it that just excites me? And that thing is going to pop up in your mind. Once that thing, that service, that product pops up in your mind, now it's time to dig in. Because being a self-employed person is not easy at all. So the second thing I would do is do your research. What does it take to operate this service? You know, do I need additional people or can I do it with just me? What products do I need? What software should I use? That's what I did. I started doing my research on credit. Because I know when I do something, I want to do it to the best. And then I'm a minority and, we get dogged out when it comes to our businesses, So I put the work in there to get the necessary softwares and necessary tools. And then once you just start, you got to start. That's the third thing. Stop trying to get that logo perfect. Stop trying to get that website perfect. You've got your tools. You've got your plan.
Just go for it.
Just start. And people will give you grace when you mess up. Trust me, I've messed up. And my client's like, it's okay, Lucy, but just be honest with people. Don't flim-flam them.
This is key because you will never gain financial independence working for someone else. Over 5 million cases of fraud and identity theft were reported to the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, in 2023. Bad actors will stop at nothing to steal your money and other valuables. We caught up with offensive cybersecurity researcher and consultant Shadow, who points out when it comes to violating personal space, no one is immune. I haven't heard it so much lately, but I remember hackers would maybe go in and maybe charge you $1.
Oh, that happens.
And see if you noticed.
Yeah.
And they'll do it like periodically to see. Because, there's a lot of people who don't check their statement. They just pay the bill.
That is true.
And that's who you're looking for. So that was my point with the auto pay. Is like, well, how often are you checking?
That is true. Oh, fun fact. This is, and I probably will butcher this story, but there were some people that basically did that, but they did it at a much more grandiose level. And they knew that big software companies like Amazon and Google and Facebook, they have a lot of bills and they have a lot of contractors. So they basically did some illegal things and got the scheme, the format of what it looked like when they had contractor invoices, coming into them and stuff like that. And of course, these are literally companies with billions of dollars. So they would just pay their invoices and they'd send it to the whatever department that had to deal with that. And they'd stamp, put whatever the equivalent of a digital rubber stamp on it, right? Anyways, this group would actually invoice these companies for software services or cloud hosting or, maybe just, development of software or something like that. And they would invoice Google for, $200,000 or something like that. Oh, and of course, Google, this is a drop in the bucket for their money. And they, charge Amazon for $700,000, even millions sometimes. And they do this periodically. And it took a long while for those types of companies to figure out that they were charging them just for nothing, because the bills looked just like the legitimate ones. And they even had a company that they were laundering all this to. Anyways, that's at a much bigger level, and I'm not saying anything about your listeners, but more than likely they're not in the invoice department of Google or Facebook or something like that.
Well, you never know.
But anyways, it can happen on a smaller scale. I just thought that was so interesting that these people were like, you know what, we're just gonna charge them for nothing and see if they pay it, and they did. They stole millions. I just thought that was interesting.
Well, are you stealing if they give it to you? You willingly give them the money.
Yeah, I know that was the thing because
You know.
they invoiced them and then.
Hey,
they
listen,
paid
I
it.
bring that up because the bank, like if a scammer calls you and you willingly give him or her your information, the bank's going to say, hey, you willingly gave it to him. We're not going to reimburse you. There are many innovative ways people with bad intentions can gain access to your personal information. At the very least, keep an eye on your statement. At the time of our June 11th podcast, Red, White, and Blue had just celebrated its 101st episode with their May podcast of The Suburban Woman Problem. They mentioned parents and teachers being pit against one another. North Carolina Program Director Janice Robinson spoke on what is causing this friction and shared her conversation with an unidentified Moms for Liberty member.
Well, I will say to them what I have said to one of them because I did meet with one of them. I said that, if there's a book that they do not want their child to read, there's a process that the school board has where they can actually make that happen, where make sure their kid doesn't read that book. They do not have the right to dictate what everybody's child read. Also, too, this thing of showing up, screaming at the school board members, trying to intimidate school board members, attacking teachers on social media, and attacking kids, attacking LGBTQ kids. That's just wrong. That's wrong. And the majority of parents do not agree with that. They don't like it. And so we are providing a way for using our Freedom to Parent campaign to make sure that the majority of parents know that there's a way that they can step up, they can push back against that stuff. That's what I have said to one of them.
We did speak with National Director of Engagement at Moms for Liberty, Tia Bess, who expressed her concerns regarding her children receiving a proper education.
We can go there about these books. I've been to school board meetings with books that were in my daughter's school. I have an issue with my daughter, and there's no educational purpose behind this. I have an issue with my daughter reading books about how to perform oral sex in detail, and she's in middle school. I have a problem with that. And if you can't read it out loud, why is it okay for a child to read it? If it breaks law by being sexually exciting, why is it okay to introduce it to prepubescent minors at an early age? Hasn't our country seen enough of what early sexualization of kids does? I mean, haven't we seen enough with STDs, with AIDS, with prostitution? The list goes on. We have to stop it right where it begins at. And I'm not saying that these books can't be read. Of course, if you want to read them, you want your child to read them, that's fine. Take them to Barnes and Noble, the public library. But our tax-paying dollars pay for this. Taxpayers don't know that there are books out there telling minors to join Grindr, which is an adult sex app. That I have an issue with. And I'm sure that a lot of parents would have an issue if they knew exactly what was available in the libraries.
You can catch the full discussion with Tia by visiting our Moms for Liberty episode dated July 23rd of this year. The Charlotte primary took place in 2023, and both candidates running in District 6 were invited to join us. Candidate for Charlotte City Council Stephanie Hand did break bread with us and outlined why she decided to run for office.
Interestingly, I was in my house one day and I was complaining, actually. And I don't normally talk to the television, but that day I was talking, and my son said to me, came up behind me, he's a junior in college. He said, "Mommy, in the Hand household, we don't complain unless we have solutions to the problem. What's your solution to the problem, and what are you going to do about it?" And, I said, "Son, you're being disrespectful. Go to your room." But I thought about that thing, and then things just started happening. pertaining to people calling me and said, hey, have you ever considered running for public office? No, not really. Well, I think you should consider. So I started talking to people, and it began to have a groundswell. And so that's when you know that you're in the right space at the right time, when it grows from the ground up. So I'm in it for a people movement, and I'm in it to make a difference in our city. I'm in it so that we see what problems are for sustainability long term, and then I'm in it to come up with the solutions and get to work to solve them.
Republican incumbent Tariq Bakari went on to win the district by 352 votes. This is 5 fewer than his narrow victory against his Democratic challenger in the previous election. If you listen to our most recent podcast, you can hear Jose, Aman, and myself discussing various topics such as the war in Israel, labor disputes, cell phone bans, AI, and in this specific clip, we got into a discussion involving EVs.
Okay, well, I will say this. To me, there's really not a problem that the marketplace can't solve, right? If you force the issue too much, like for example, we don't have the grid to support. Like if everybody went out tomorrow and bought an electric car, right? The grid couldn't support it.
Correct.
So, but I believe the marketplace over time will go ahead. They'll get the grids built. They'll get your charging stations built. They'll figure out a way you can charge it at your house or your apartment or whatever. If you don't rush into it, it will happen. Mandates tend to put things off balance, and therefore it kind of, you kind of get uprisings, such as with the union situation. But on that vein, I do want to point out, now, when you buy electric cars, the government is losing gas tax money. I don't think they thought of that. Now they are. And there is a particular state that is saying, oh, wait a second, this is going to be a problem. What are we going to do? Does anyone know which state that is?
I will say California.
See, that's what I thought. That's what you think too, Maya?
I would have thought California.
That's what I thought too. But to my surprise, it was my birth state of Michigan. They're going to spend more than $5 million this fall to survey 20,000 residents about road usage charges. Now, what they're trying to do, as I mentioned, they're trying to get the revenue up because they're saying we're not going to get the gas taxes because the car sales are on the decline as far as combustion engines, but they're on the rise for EVs. So now, here's the issue with that. Now, if you don't want that, if you don't want to be charged by the mile, every time you travel, you're not going to appreciate that. And some have already raised privacy concerns about placing GPS trackers in their vehicles. Yeah. Then what do you think? Is Michigan on the right track or no?
Wait, so they want to charge people by the mile?
Yes. So they want to put the GPS in your car, and every time you drive a mile, you're charged.
Oh, I think that's crazy. Yeah.
It might happen. It might happen. But my comment on that, it will be like, this is not a surprise. Like I said, EV is coming, but they need to figure it out because that's the first thing that I thought, like, what happened with all the tax gas that they get. So I'm guessing they're going to put it on the car. So an EV that it could be $40,000, now it's going to be $50,000, something like that, just to get all those taxes.
Change your news and your wallet. Keep listening to BreakNBread. I absolutely appreciate my supporters here in the U.S. and would also like to thank my listeners abroad, including Ireland, Dominican Republic, Germany, and the UK. Thank you to my 2023 sponsors, Magic Mind, Living Up Promo, and Same Page Insurance. Today's show is dedicated to my Aunt Opal, to whom we lost recently. She was an advocate of the show as well as my other endeavors, and her love and support will be missed. BreakNBread is a production of Artists for the People. Follow us on X at BreakNBread 101. That's break, the letter N, as in November, bread 101. Or catch us on Instagram, BreakNBread Podcast. Check us out on Facebook or visit our website, breaknbread.biz. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at BreakNBread 101. Give us a listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts app, Amazon Music, Listen Notes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our theme music was composed by Ludwig van Beethoven. BreakNBread was created by Terry Page. I look forward to spending time with you in 2024 as BreakNBread enters its 5th season. Success is when opportunity meets preparation. Until next time.